he is, live and in person after addressing 25,000 troops in Chechnya, which we discussed the other day right after our favorite weapons inspector did it, but we didn't have the footage yet. But today we do for episode 127 of Ask the Inspector on January 9th, 2024. Well, I was wondering, after the excitement of addressing 25,000 troops, I was wondering if everything would be anticlimactic after that point. But no, the excitement continues to be sustained, yes?
It's not just that, but, right before that Christmas, from the 6th to the 7th, Christmas Eve into Christmas, Alexander Ziriana was kind enough to get us invitations to the Orthodox, the premier Orthodox Christian Mass that was hosted by Kirill, the Pope of the Russian Orthodox. So we had literally front row seats to the elaborate.
I love when you make these comparisons, so you give an idea to the Americans, what the status is. This is the Pope of Russia, and then the other day you said you went to the home of the Elvis of Russia.
Elvis of Chechnya.
The Elvis of Chechnya. Sorry about that. Now, I don't know if this is it. You went to someone's house and the kids were dancing. Is that the house, or is that a different house? Oh, hang on a second. Let me get rid of the audio. Go ahead.
No, but the man playing the Chechen version of the balalaika right there, that is the Elvis of Chechnya. He is he's literally a rock star in Chechnya, and he invited us to his home. We had this wonderful dinner, and he, at the end, he pulled out his balalaika and started singing songs. And one of the near the end, the kids came out, and he played a song, and the kids practiced their traditional Chechen dance, and it shows a warmth, again.
Oh, so sweet. Yeah, it's the very definition.
You saw 25,000 rock hard killers.
All right, your audio's cutting out a little bit, and I was started to step on you a little bit there. Sorry. I was just going to say that it's just so wholesome. I mean, that is the epitome of wholesomeness, that scene. Very sweet. But getting back just for a minute to the speech to the troops, what everybody is commenting on is how you've been so coy about how well you speak Russian. You gave everybody the impression now you could just get out a couple of words here and there. But here you are on the spur of the moment with no planning whatsoever.
Ваше президент, ваше командир, ваше офицерам и солдат Чечни.
Giving a speech that may not have been perfect, but it seemed to have been perfectly understood and perfectly appropriate. Good for you, Major. Good for you.
Well,
look at all those people. What was that like, seeing all those people?
Oh, this was crazy. Like I said, we were at lunch and with Ramzan Kadyrov, the head of the Chechen Republic. And when you remember the last time I was there in May, I was able to inspect the Presidential Guard, which was several thousand troops, which was impressive enough. And so near the end of the meal, he said, "Would you like to see the troops?" And I'm like, "Why not?" Sure. He said, "I got 25,000 of them." And I thought he meant like, that's how many I control in the whole army. And I'm like, cool, 25,000 dudes. What I didn't realize is while we're eating lunch, they sent out the general mobilization order, and literally in the streets of Grozny, these guys came pouring out of their homes with their clothes, and they assembled here. And let's just point out one thing. When American presidents meet American soldiers, all their weapons are disarmed. There's no live bullets in the rounds of the American soldiers, because we don't trust our soldiers not to shoot. Every single Chechens had live ammunition. I mean, these guys are locked and cocked and ready to rock. They got live ammunition. Those are live grenade launchers. These boys are ready to roll. And Ramzan Kadyrov is standing up there just saying, "Here I am, your leader." And they are just looking at him saying, "Yes, you are." But as we left, you see a couple dozen soldiers in your field of view as you come out of the room, lining the sidewalk, and then you make the turn and you see the first hillside and it's covered with troops, and you're like, what the hell's going on here? As you go on through the rolling, forests of his palace grounds, there's more hills, and it's just covered with soldiers. Final turn, and there they all are, the entire freaking army. There it is. And you're just like, and I'm just sitting there going, what the hell is going on here?
It's
and then
an amazing show.
He gives a speech, and he goes, come on up and speak. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And Alexander got engaged, and his fiance Olga speaks English, and she sort of came up as if she was going to interpret. She was telling me the whole time, though, you got to keep it short and simple, and I'm like, nah, this ain't going to work. I'm not going to do that. So I just said, I got this. And I just started off, and I went, hello. And I had no idea what to say. So I started, and my Russian is horrible. Look, anybody who's honest, I appreciate all the nice people out there who are saying, you did well, you did well. It is grammatically disgusting.
Well, it depends what you compare it to. I mean, sure, it's not perfect, but it's more than just getting out a word or two. You actually convey what you were trying to say.
I can communicate, but it is ugly. And normally communicating like in a subway or at a store or ordering food, standing before 25,000 of the hardest, Chechen warriors you've ever met in your life, staring at you with, cold steel in their eyes. I'm glad they didn't kill me.
All right. You probably didn't have 25,000 of the New Year's coins on you, but did you give away a few that day?
I did, and then I left 25 with their commander, one for every 1,000 soldiers. So it's the best I could do.
All right. Well, we're going to give out one of those New Year's coins today. And to enter the drawing, just type in only in the live chat. I keep saying live chat, and then after every episode, people are putting it in the comments after we're already done with this. This is just a live thing. Type #coin in the live chat of YouTube, Facebook, X, or Twitch. We're also streaming on Rumble and Locals, but we can't get our giveaway tool to connect with that. So sorry to our fans on those channels. All right, Scott, let's go to the questions from our beloved audience. This is the lightning round. We do it every Tuesday, or almost every Tuesday at this time. Scott answers every question in 3 minutes or less, or he gets the whip. We're on an irregular schedule while Scott is traveling in Russia, yet here we are at the regularly scheduled time today. So sometimes it works out. The first question is from SW in Oregon, who's our resident contrarian. I'm not sure that this question is as contrarian as he often is. As the conflict in Ukraine continues, we see trench warfare similar to World War I, small gains for massive losses. U.S. military doctrine avoids this by using paratroopers or Marines to land behind lines. Why isn't Russia using them this way?
Well, I just refer everybody to Operation Market Garden in 1944. The Montgomery, the British general, came up with a plan to land 3 airborne divisions behind German lines, seize bridges. The final bridge being Arnhem. That was where the British 1st Airborne Division landed. We put in the 82nd. We put in the 101st. Then a British armored column was supposed to drive in and and connect with each one of these these airborne bridgeheads. And it ended disaster. The British landed. They were supposed to land in a city that didn't have any defenders. There were 2 SS Panzer divisions refitting in the area, and the 1st Airborne Division was virtually annihilated. You can't just land forces, and you've got to logistically sustain them. The Marines, when you do an amphibious operation, we can put forces across the beach, but then we have to continuously flow supplies into them, and we can do that for a short period of time, but eventually we have to get a port facility, and then send in the heavy equipment there. It's not a simple operation. It's logistically difficult to sustain, and once you do it, you have to commit to it. And that's not Russia's goal. I mean, Russia's goal isn't to conquer territory. I think everybody should understand that. We now know this is the case because when Russia negotiated with Ukraine in March and April of 2022, they basically said, we don't want to keep any territory. It was never our goal. We'll give it all back. In fact, as a good faith measure, they withdrew from the Kiev, Sumy, Chernihiv regions, withdrew from those, gave that territory back, and they were willing to give everything back. The Donbass had declared its independence, but the Russians were willing to work with, Ukraine to get the Donbass to be incorporated into Ukraine, sort of like a Chechen-like autonomous region, where they had local autonomy, but they'd be part of a larger federation. Of course, the Ukrainians rejected this, but Russia had no intention of seizing territory. It was only after the Ukrainians rejected that and they carried out a NATO-assisted counteroffensive that Russia said, okay, screw it, hold referendum. We own these territories now. They belong to us. But Russia's goal hasn't been to, punch through and seize Ukrainian territory. The goal is the destruction of the Ukrainian military. And that's what they're doing. 500,000 Ukrainian casualties, most of them dead. Why does Oh, I forgot the whip.
It's Tuesday, the lightning round. All right.
Why does it take territory? That's the whole thing.
All right. The next question is from Buldak in Quebec. I find it puzzling that Ukraine's often unwilling conscripted soldiers throw themselves into suicide missions and even choose death over surrender. What happens behind the curtains to turn some guy forcefully pulled off the streets into an obedient soldier willing to lay down their life in battle?
Well, first thing we have to understand is when a Ukrainian soldier is conscripted, it's not as though the entire Ukrainian military is a conscript force. There's still a large number of, even despite all the casualties that Ukraine has suffered, there's still a large number of, regular forces, well-trained, et cetera. Just like in the German army, even though they had the Volkssturm, or the old men and the kids, there were units, regular army units that had veterans. Veterans had been around since 1941, combat-hardened soldiers. There's combat-hardened troops in Ukraine today. The fresh meat generally are taken to hold a sector of the front line, freeing up the more experienced forces to carry out the assaults. The assaults are not being carried out by these conscripts. They don't have the training to do that. The training they have basically allows them to go them into a dugout and hold terrain and do basic rudimentary defense. But the offensive operations are carried out by the more experienced troops, and so they're the ones that are being slaughtered in these attacks, and the conscripts are being slaughtered in the Russian counterattacks.
Do you see these videos I was showing while you were talking? And in general, have you seen all the videos that are purported to be Ukrainian soldiers forcing people off the streets to serve in the military? Can you see that?
No, yep, I've seen these over and over and over again. Yeah.
Are they authentic?
They appear to be, but I'm not in a position to independently corroborate the authenticity of these videos.
Right. Some of them have audio, and I guess that if you understood what was being said, well, that's too much in the distance. I guess if one understands what they're said from the context of it, that might help, confirm what's going on there. But it does seem to be the case. Is that an issue that you've addressed before, Scott?
What's
the forcing the people off the street or wherever to serve?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about it before. It's an indicator. Look, Russia's getting 1,500 volunteers a day for the special military operation. 1,500 volunteers a day. Just to put this in context, the United States military was 60,000 short of their recruiting goal. I mean, we can't recruit people because nobody wants to join the military nowadays. The Army had to readjust. The British Navy had to retire 2 ships so they could take the crews to crew up 1 new ship, but because nobody's joining the British Navy, nobody wants to join NATO. The NATO military is an empty shell. Russia's getting 1,500 guys a day, volunteering to go to war to defeat Ukraine. Ukraine right now is a manpower crisis. They don't have men. They've lost them all. It's a huge front line, and they're very thinly spread right now. You're going to see a general retreat, a collapse very soon because they got nothing left to man it. They're talking about taking in women. They're talking about taking in young kids. They're talking about taking in old men, and any fighting age guys they get are being, brought in unwillingly. Nobody wants to go to the front lines now because there is only one outcome. You're going to die.
All right. I don't know if that Scott was finishing there or if he's frozen or both, but let's try to move on. I think the internet is frozen. Next question is from Eric Rodriguez in Panama. And I can't read this with full confidence that Scott can hear it because, are you there, Scott?
I'm
I'm
here. Yep.
Cut. All right. How practical would it be for Hamas and the Palestinian Authority to establish Gaza and the West Bank as an Iranian protectorate, similar to Puerto Rico's relationship with the USA, in an effort to address the conflict?
That's the most impractical thing in the world. The Iranians wouldn't do it. They're not in the business of territorial acquisition, and the last thing they want is to get entangled in Palestinian politics and on the ground. Hamas is a Sunni entity. Iran is a Shia entity that believes in the supremacy of the supreme leader, Vilayat Faqih, and the two totally incompatible religious systems. So no, it's probably the most impractical thing in the world. More impractical than continuing the current Israeli-Palestinian relationship.
Okay, let's take a voicemail message from an anonymous caller.
Hi, Scott. Thank you for answering our questions while traveling through Russia. Now, to my question,
did my answer come through?
I can understand the importance of Mykolaiv to secure Odessa once taken by the Russian army so that Ukraine does not pose danger to the Russian Navy around Crimea. But can you explain the strategic importance?
I was playing a voicemail message. You can't hear it, Scott? Internet problems again. Damn it. Darn it all.
Jeff, can you hear me at all?
Very little. You're coming in and out very intermittently.
Nothing?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Bueller?
Can you hear me? Oy vey. Use audio only, maybe. Yes, people keep suggesting to use audio only, but nobody has explained how to do that. That's a key part of this solution that's being proposed. So if anybody knows, I don't know that we have time to get it together right now. I think Scott's logging out and logging in. That often helps. But for the next time, if somebody can give a step-by-step how to do it, Scott is using his phone, and one solution, which we know is going to work, but he can't always do it, is he's going to go into a studio, which he did on Judge Knapp's podcast about a week ago. And it was a great internet connection. We actually have that scheduled in about 10 days, I think. But we're trying to get in some other episodes in the meanwhile, too. And so, Yelena, if anybody in the comments has a solution that might actually work or that's specific as to what we could do, turn off the camera. Well, I guess we could get Scott to figure out how to do that on his phone. But I don't know if that's going to solve it, though. It's an internet problem. And, well, yeah, but I don't know what. You know what maybe we could do? Put him on the phone. Yeah, there's no, I don't know that his phone works from there. I was just thinking, Telegram or something like that, but that's dependent on the internet too, right? I don't know. Let's take a phone call in the meanwhile. And then I thought Scott might be, well, I think I hear him coming back. All right. It is indeed our favorite weapons inspector, so let's give it a shot. Hello, Scott.
Hello. Can you see me?
Yep. People are saying if you turn off the video and just do audio, that might help, but that would kind of require you to know how to do that, right?
Don't assume I have any knowledge of anything. I disabled the VPN, so hopefully this will keep it stable.
All right. Let's do our best. I was playing a voicemail message before when we lost each other, so let's try that one again.
Hi, Scott. Thank you for answering our questions while traveling through Russia. Now, to my question, I can understand the importance of Mykolaiv to secure Odessa once taken by the Russian army so that Ukraine does not pose danger to the Russian Navy around Crimea. But can you explain the strategic importance of the further northeast oblasts, Dnipropetrovsk and Kharkiv? Also, does the Ben Gurion project play a role in the recent Israeli incursion into Gaza? Thank you so much.
There goes Scott, the dreaded spinning wheel. Well, hit the video image. What does that mean, hit the video image? People are just making stuff up. Hit the video image. Hey there. We don't have Scott right now, but you want to tell me what your question is or just say hello while we're waiting for him to come back? Who is this?
Yes. My question is the following. A lot of Russians went to fight and left their job. And there is also, because of the economy of Russia is booming, there is a shortage to hire people. So would it be a good idea for Russia to propose each Ukrainian man who have a mobilization order, if they can make it to Russia, they will have a job or they will be able to study in the university rather than getting killed on the front?
All right.
That's my question.
All right, hang on there for just a minute because Scott is coming back now. Can you hear that caller, Scott? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, and I heard the caller. I just didn't hear the totality of the question.
All right, caller, if you could ask the question again, but keep it brief, please.
Yes, the question is, given the shortage in men of Russia because a lot went to the war and their economy is booming, could they entice Ukrainian men with mobilization order and tell them that if they make it to Russia, they will be given a job or an education? That's my question.
That's a good question. There's no shortage of manpower here in Russia. I mean, yeah, people are being mobilized, but unemployment is low. The industries are booming. Where they need manpower, they get the boost from Central Asia for menial labor jobs, etc. And the other thing is the last thing the Russians are going to do, while they do allow Ukrainians to immigrate in, it's a huge security problem. You don't want to open the floodgates that could be exploited by Ukrainian intelligence. So we know Ukraine has infiltrated a number of assassination teams in here. The ones who killed Daria Dugina, Alexander Dugin's daughter. They killed Tatarsky, the Russian military blogger. They just killed a Ukrainian defector, member of parliament who defected, assassinated him with a silenced pistol just the other last month. So I can't imagine a scenario where Russia is encouraging Ukrainians to come in and and to incorporate them into what could be potentially sensitive positions that could lead to industrial espionage or things of that nature. Plus, there's just no need for it. Russia's doing just fine from a manpower perspective.
All right, thanks for the call. Here's another phone call, Scott. Let's try it and hope for the best. Hey there, you're on with our favorite weapons inspector in Russia.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Feroz. I'm calling from Chicago. My question for Scott is, I saw the video where you toured a mosque in Chechnya, and I was wondering if you could talk about how was that experience, and I know you also visited homes in that region in Chechnya, and how was was there anything new that you learned about Chechen culture, their dedication to faith, and also if you asked them about their thoughts or if you had any discussion about what's happening in Gaza with the folks in Russia so far. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your call. One of the things about Chechnya, to understand the history, Ramzan Kadyrov, who's the current head of the Chechen Republic, he's the son of Ahmad Kadyrov, he was the former mufti, head religious figure of the Chechen Republic, or the Republic of Ichkeria, that fought a war against the Russians in the 1990s and got their independence. And then when the Second Chechen War started, the Second Chechen War was basically where the United States and other Western powers were infiltrated in foreign Wahhabist fighters to try and create, a chaos situation in Chechnya, to break it away from Russia as part of an overall effort to break up Russia. And it was leading to sort of this Chechen civil war. And Ahmad Kadyrov said, we can't have Chechens killing Chechens. There's only 1.5 million of them. There's not a lot of Chechens, and their blood feuds are Hatfield and McCoy make the Hatfield and McCoys in America look like child's play. And when you have Chechens killing Chechens, it's a never-ending cycle of violence. And he said it has to stop. And he and Vladimir Putin sat down and worked it out. But you have to understand that this was a deeply religious man. They are Sunni Muslims. They practice a specific branch of Sunnism, Sufism, and you need to understand that to understand the Chechen people. To visit this mosque, which was built in honor of Ahmad Kadyrov, it has become the centerpiece of the faith in Chechnya. It's to understand Chechnya. So I was given a tour by the mufti of the mosque, the head man, and he explained the role of religion. He explained, the very peaceful nature of religion as practiced by the Chechen people. They don't want war. I mean, they're capable of fighting war, and they will fight ferociously, but they want peace. And the proof is in the pudding. And look at the peace that they've worked out with the Russians. They fought 2 bloody wars with Russians. Hundreds of thousands of people were killed. Entire cities were laid to waste. And yet today, Russia and Chechnya are not just at peace with each other, but those 25,000 soldiers that Ramzan Kadyrov assembled, they're fiercely loyal to Russia and Vladimir Putin, because they recognize that Vladimir Putin's leadership, together with the leadership of Ahmad Kadyrov, helped create the reality of modern Chechnya, this thriving community that has rebuilt itself from the ashes. So, and Islam is at the very core of that. And it's you can't understand Chechnya unless you understand Islam. And touring that mosque and listening to the Mufti explain the role of Islam in Chechnya was a very enlightening experience for me.